Every few months, my wife and I like to switch up the credit cards we're using in our two-player credit card strategy. So in this video, let's go over exactly what's in our wallet for the first quarter of 2025, including a few changes here that are going to be a bit different for us, like this first card that's going to act as our dining credit card right now, and that would be the Discover It card. Now, the Discover It is a great all-around, no annual fee cashback option that most people get when they're just starting out in their whole credit card journey. But for me, when I was getting started with credit cards back in 2018, I kind of made the mistake of skipping over it. So a few months ago, because I plan on sort of just slowing down with how many new credit cards I'm opening this year, I finally decided to go ahead and get the Discover It just to have it as an option. And because I figured that I might as well go and take advantage of the first year cashback match they offer, where they match whatever cashback you earn in your first year dollar for dollar. Because of that, the 5% rotating quarterly categories on this card are effectively going to be doubled and worth 10% back when I factor in that matching. And for the first quarter of 2025, the Discover It card has restaurants as a rotating category. So again, I'm going to value that as 10% back on restaurants for January, February, and March. Now, the rotating categories here are only earning that pre-matching 5% back for the first $1,500 of spending per quarter. So what my wife Jackie and I plan to do here is we're going to use this card for the first $1,500 of our dining spend, coffee spend, or really anything else that codes as restaurants. The cool thing is that Discover has a cashback tracker within their app that lets us know exactly how much of our cashback has been earned from those 5% categories this quarter. And we do spend a good amount on dining out, especially when we go out traveling. So I do think we're probably going to max that out over the course of these 3 months. If we do go over $1,500 in restaurant spend and we stop earning effectively 10% back on the Discover It, then after that we'll go ahead and switch back over to the Amex Gold card for dining, because that card earns 4x points per dollar at restaurants, and that's also obviously pretty good. Now, because we're traveling over to Cape Town, South Africa this quarter for about 10 days, we may also have to throw in something like the Built MasterCard to earn 3x back on dining, and that's because Discover and Amex aren't really as widely accepted outside the US, so having a MasterCard should be an easier solution here. Now, as I was planning out this first quarter 2025 strategy, I kind of went back and forth between going with the Discover It card earning 10% cash back at restaurants with that whole cashback matching program versus 4x points on the Amex Gold. And that's because in theory, I could be redeeming those Amex points for travel at higher cent per point values that could potentially make 4x back worth more than 10% in value if I was getting over 2.5 cents per point. However, the more I thought about it, the reason why I'm going to go ahead and use the Discover It card first for restaurants is just because I think that locking in a guaranteed 10% back with that card is actually going to be the easier deal for me right now. And that's because I know that sometimes I get above 2.5 cents per point, but then there's also plenty of other times where I'm getting slightly below that, around maybe 2 cents per point. Also, for the times that I do get those higher redemption values like 4, 5, or 6 plus cents per point, I have to kind of go ahead and take a step back and say, okay, I'm redeeming maybe 60,000 points for a $3,000 business class flight, so that's giving me 5 cents per point, but would I have really paid $3,000 cash for that flight in the first place? A lot of the time, the answer is no, because I'm honestly pretty frugal. So the tough part here with the whole points and miles game is that cent per point value isn't really a perfect math formula, because there's also kind of this subjective element to factor in. So yeah, right now, locking in a guaranteed 10% return on spend for our dining spend with the Discover It card is going to be more than enough value for us this quarter, and hopefully that makes sense. But next here, let's move on to our second credit card in our wallet that my wife Jackie and I are going to be using this quarter on groceries and a few other things as well, and that would be the Freedom Flex. So pretty similar to the rotating 5% categories on the Discover It, this card also has rotating 5% categories that are actually earning 5x points per dollar on the first $1,500 of spending per quarter. And for the first quarter of 2025, those categories include fitness club and gym memberships, grocery stores excluding Target and Walmart, as well as hair, nail, and spa services. Now, Jackie and I both have this card, which means that we each have up to that $1,500 of combined spending in those categories to earn that 5x back. So I already switched our gym membership over to one of those cards because we do pay around $200 per month on that. And then we're also going to go ahead and use this card anytime we're at a grocery store, or if Jackie's getting her nails done, or one of us is getting a haircut. If we manage to each go over the $1,500 spending cap for earning 5x on both our cards, then I also have a couple of OG Freedom cards that have the same exact 5x rotating categories, which we can use as well. So yeah, definitely a really great time to have all these different rotating category credit cards in your wallet for the first quarter of 2025. Now, for me and Jackie, one of our primary goals this year is to then continue taking all these credit card points we're earning and redeem them for travel whenever we want to take a vacation away from home throughout the year. But when we're at home, one of our big goals there this year has really been to just get more privacy and security in our lives, and that is going to bring me to the sponsor of today's video, which is Delete Me. You may not even realize it, but your personal information like your name, your phone number, and your address could be floating around on the internet and easily accessible to anyone because of data brokers who actually can sell that information. I was honestly kind of skeptical skeptical when I learned about this at first from a friend who was worried about their own safety when they started meeting new people through dating apps. But when I did a Google search for myself, sure enough, I saw way too much personal data that was out there that even included previous addresses that I lived at growing up and in college. Now, you can get the information removed yourself, but it could take hours and hours to do that. So Delete Me helps make this process super easy by taking care of data removal for you. And since I started using them last year, they've looked through over 15,000 listings and then found over 60 data brokers with my info. Then they just remove that data for me. And what's cool is that every few months they send me a report that tells me about anything new they found and removed as well. So if you want help keeping your personal info private, then go ahead and check out joindeleteme.com/dbraun and use the promo code dbraun for 20% off their US consumer plans to try it out for yourself. And thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. All right, now next here for the third card in our wallet, we've got to mention the Bilt MasterCard, which is going to be our rent-paying credit card, but we also do have a few other ways that we've been using this credit card as well. So right now, Jackie and I pay a little over $3,300 on our rent every month, and because the Bilt MasterCard earns 1x Bilt point per dollar on that for up to 100,000 points per calendar year, we're going to be under that limit, and we anticipate we're going to earn around 40,000 points from rent alone in 2025. Bilt also waives the transaction fee that most other credit cards would charge for paying rent, so there's no extra cost for doing that with this card. But then we also end up using it mostly as our streaming and subscription credit card as well. The reason why we do that is because you do have to put 5 transactions on the Bilt MasterCard every single statement period in order to earn points. So because earning points on our rent is going to be such a valuable benefit here for us that we want to take full advantage of, we do want to make sure that we're putting a few recurring streaming charges on this credit card to sort of just automate that whole 5 transaction requirement. Now, those subscriptions typically only earn 1x Bilt point per dollar under the all other category here, but we do have it set up with most of our subscriptions that they get charged on the first day of each month. And because Bilt runs their whole rent day promotion on that day every month, we're actually going to be earning double points for that for 2x back on those subscriptions. Now, the Discover It card technically does have streaming as a rotating 5% category as well right now, which again would become 10% cash back for us because of the whole cashback matching offer. But because streaming spend is never really that much for me and Jackie, I typically don't like to bother with switching over my streaming expenses to a new credit card for only 3 months because honestly, it's just more of a hassle. There's also a few other ways that we've started using our Bilt MasterCard that I'll get more into detail about in a full updated review video on that because this card definitely offers a lot. So if you want to go ahead and learn more about it, then I'll leave a link down below so you can check it out. But next here, let's move on to the catch-all credit card that Jackie and I are going to both be using this quarter, and that is going to be the Capital One Venture X. I think the Venture X is honestly one of the best credit cards on the market for miscellaneous spending because it earns 2x miles per dollar in the all other purchases category compared to the 1x or 1.5x that most other cards offer. Now, sometimes I've been okay with earning 1.5x on certain cards because of how those points can then be transferred over to programs like Hyatt within certain points currencies, which I've talked about in previous videos. But for right now in 2025, we've got most of our travel planned and hotels booked for this year. So for this quarter, we just want to really focus on optimizing our miscellaneous spend by getting 2x back on everything else with the Venture X. What's really good here is there's also no foreign transaction fees on this card. So when we're traveling to Cape Town later on, we can use this card pretty much anywhere without getting charged anything extra for using it. Plus, we're also going to be flying back from Dallas-Fort Worth later on this quarter for a wedding down there. So we're probably going to try to jump over to visit the Capital One Lounge at Dallas-Fort Worth as well by having this card in our wallet. Now, technically, the Venture X is actually Jackie's account, and I just have the card as an authorized user under that account because Capital One would not approve me a loan when I tried applying for the Venture X a couple of times back in 2023. And that's mostly because they just told me that I've got too many credit card accounts on my credit report. So my tip is that if you want the Venture X, then try getting it earlier on in your credit card journey if possible. I'll still probably try to eventually get approved for it at some point in the future because there's obviously going to be a big 75,000 mile sign-up bonus that I have not taken advantage of yet. But yeah, right now, Jackie and I are both going to be using her Venture X card as a catch-all in our 2-player strategy for this quarter. Now, as for my business spending, right now I don't really have any sort of sign-up bonuses or stuff like that I'm working on. So just like my personal spending, I'm going to be using a very simple 2x back catch-all card for most of my business stuff with the Amex Blue Business Plus. There's actually been a lot of really cool things going on sort of behind the scenes here with my overall media business that this YouTube channel is a part of, so stay tuned for more updates on that throughout 2025. But lately, I've been really just spending more and bringing on more contractors, freelancers, and even an employee, which has been great so far. And if you guys want to see some more updates on my business and other business credit card stuff, then let me know down below in the comments section so I can maybe make some more content on that this year as well. Now, next, I also like to carry my Citi Custom Cash with me as our dedicated gas credit card. And for this right now, only I have a custom cash and Jackie doesn't have one just yet, but usually I'm able to fill up the gas in both of our cars using this card. So the custom cash earns 5%, or really 5x Citi thank you points per dollar on your top eligible spend category each billing cycle for up to $500 of spending. And of course, gas stations is one of those categories, and that's the one area of our budget that we don't really have any other great credit card options to put that spend on. So yeah, this card has been a great thing to have for that. Now, because I work from home, my only real commute is really just going to and from the gym, so I only have to fill up my car with gas maybe once or twice per month. But Jackie's car does get used a lot more for her job, and then we sort of use that also as our primary car whenever we're driving somewhere together. We probably spend at least $250 per month on gas right now, so again, I think the custom cash is really just a good card to have for that, but I also think it's a very good no annual fee option for anyone to have to sort of just fill in the gaps in their credit card setup, because there's a lot of other ways in other categories where you can also be earning 5x instead. Now, next, for the first quarter of 2025, I've also got my Amex Platinum card with me for access to Amex and Priority Pass lounges whenever we're out traveling. And then lately, I've also been using this card to book some flights that I paid cash for, or whenever I have to pay taxes and fees on certain award flights. The Amex Platinum earns 5x on flights booked with airlines directly, so both those scenarios right there trigger that multiplier. But then I've also mentioned in previous videos that I get good enough value from all the credits and benefits on this card to justify having it. So if you want to learn more about the Amex Platinum, then I'll leave a link down below to a full video I made on that card. Now, in our wallet, we also like to carry around a debit card just in case we ever have to go and get some cash. And for this, we like to use the Schwab Platinum debit card that's linked to our Schwab investor checking account. Our primary checking account is actually over with SoFi, but I do like to keep a few $100 in our Schwab account as well, just because the debit card for this account is going to allow us to get unlimited ATM fee rebates for cash withdrawals worldwide. So again, anytime we need some cash, I could just pull out this debit card pretty much at any ATM and I don't have to worry about fees. So that's what's in our wallet right now, but let me know what's in your wallet as well in the comments down below. And also, while you're down there, make sure to go ahead and get some help removing your data from the internet by checking out Delete Me with the link in the description and the code DBRAUN to get 20% off. So thanks again to Delete Me for sponsoring this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one.